I think this gospel might be entitled The Love Story of Jesus. I've also heard it referred to as the love chain of Jesus. It's kind of a chain that the Father and Son have together that Jesus chooses to invite the disciples to join. And of course, the disciples also represent us. So it's a chain that hopefully everyone can enjoy. But there are certain things in our world, many of them I think, that tend to draw us away from this chain of love, make it very difficult for us to become part of it. And a great deal of it has to do with just how we function, what our attitudes are, and the struggles that we face in life. I think throughout much of life, we tend to be storytellers and story listeners. And the neat thing about these stories is that we don't need anyone to help us. We can do it all ourselves. We listen to ourselves, literally. Every once in a while, these little stories that we say come out of our lips and are heard. Have you ever walked down the street and the person next to you turns to you and say, "Did you say something?" And you're not embarrassed because it happens to all of us, and you just turn to him and say, "No, I was just talking to myself." I think we do that. And in many ways, it's a good thing to do because sometimes it encourages us. I know certainly every week before that I preach, especially on Saturday for the first time that weekend, I talk to myself about it. I remind myself that I know what I'm trying to do here. I'm ready. Relax, take it easy. They won't throw anything at you, probably. And some of them even like you, so maybe you'll get through this okay. And of course, I do admit that I encompass a prayer with it too, so it's a little more than just my talking to myself. But nonetheless, I think we all do it they're little pep talks sometimes. I can remember when I was working for a living, which doesn't seem like that long ago, Monday mornings were just dismal. I didn't like Monday mornings. You probably loved them, but I didn't like them. And I'd find myself driving to work, and I'd have to give myself a little pep talk. I know Mondays aren't good for me, but, hang in there. There's a lot to be done. Just do them one task at a time, and you'll get through it. And I could get on with my week. Sometimes these little stories we tell ourselves can have very negative impacts on us. And I think these are the times when the stories get a little longer. And for me, and I think for a lot of us, these times happen to be the wee small hours. You're having trouble getting to sleep, and where does your mind go? Your mind starts reenacting life. If you wake up like I do about 2 o'clock in the morning and you're really ready to get up, but you better not. You lie there and you think, and you reminisce, and you remind yourself of all the times you messed up, especially the big messes. And this isn't a good way to start a day. We just get wallowed in sometimes the baggage that we carry along in life. And I think the sad thing about these negative stories we tell ourselves is they seem to always try to portray themselves as reality. It doesn't take too long before we start thinking poorly of ourselves. If only I had done this. If only I hadn't stepped forward. Whatever. So how do we break this cycle? How do we get away from this and get into a more positive frame of mind so that we can indeed become part of the love chain of the Lord, which is our calling? And I think probably the logical way to do it would be to focus on those good times. Focus on the times when we had love in our life, especially the high times in our life. Maybe it was the first time we fell in love. Maybe it was our marriage. Maybe it was the birth of one of our children. Maybe it was the birth of a grandchild. Any number of events in our life can get us away from negative thoughts and give us thinking more positively. The problem is it seems to be an ongoing process. We have to continually do it. Maybe there's a shortcut. And the thought is this. There's 2 parts to this. The first part is focus on one person in our life that loved us. Maybe still does. Maybe they're still alive. And this person needs to be someone who really cherished us, really thought of us as a treasure in their life. And focus on that person and what that person has meant in our life. And don't make the mistake of thinking, well, this is just one person, one isolated voice in the wilderness amidst all the indifference and negativity that we face all the time. Don't think of it that way. Think of this person as our link to God. This is the person that is showing us God in our life. And quite frankly, this is how I think God communicates with us, through other people. So if we could focus on this person and let this person really permeate into our thinking, our being, our attitude, aren't we going to be a lot better off? And the second part of this is, do not allow all people and all things to be equal in our life. Now, that's not to say that we should treat some people poorly. Absolutely not. All people deserve to be treated with respect and with dignity. But let's face it, there are certain people we meet in our life that seem to have found a way. They have developed it, maybe it's a God-given gift, but they somehow have this innate ability to love. They are joy to the people around them. Whenever you're in their midst, you feel better about yourself. They brighten everyone's day. It's hard to put your finger on exactly how they do it, but they do it. And I'm thinking of, I don't even know this girl's last name. I know her first name is Alicia, and she works at McDonald's on Route 57 in Liverpool. And I stop there every morning after we walk. And this girl is always bubbling with enthusiasm. There's always a smile on her face. And I know life can't be of joy all the time for her, and yet somehow she manages to display this sense of beauty because of her disposition every single morning. And it brightens my day. I'm ready to go. All I need is 5 minutes with Alicia. And I think we can all find people like this in our life. And they, once again, are links to the Almighty. It's not really all that important how we get on this love chain. What's important is that we do.